Good day to everyone. My name is Dr. Leonel Vela, and I am the Senior Associate Dean for Educational Resources and Professor in the School of Medicine. It is with great pleasure and gratitude that the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley School of Medicine welcomes you to its inaugural commencement. Yes, you will be witnessing the very first commencement in the history of our medical school. The School of Medicine, UTRGV, and indeed the whole Rio Grande Valley is delighted that you have joined us for this long-anticipated historic celebration that has been the dream of this community for many decades. After today, the Valley and UTRGV can proclaim proudly that we have graduated our first medical school class. The social distancing in response to the COVID-19 pandemic has compelled us to have a virtual ceremony. However, this achievement of the School of Medicine's charter class of 2020, the pride and joy of the graduates' families and friends, shared by the faculty and the entire UTRGV and Valley community, remains vibrant and steadfast. I would now like to introduce UTRGV student Amy Whitehouse, who will sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Dr. John Krause, Dean of the School of Medicine and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, will now preside over this commencement ceremony. Dr. Krause is not only a nationally recognized specialist in otolaryngology and head and neck surgery, but for perpetuity, he will also hold the distinction of being the dean that graduated the charter class of the UTRGV School of Medicine. During his tenure as dean, Dr. Krause has led the medical school through impressive growth in its mission to advance education, clinical care, research, and service. But an overriding goal that has defined Dr. Krause's leadership is his focus on priority number one for the medical school, which is student success. And that is what we are celebrating in this most memorable occasion. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce Dr. John Krause, Dean of the School of Medicine and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs.
Thank you, Dr. Vela. UTRGV Medical School Class of 2020, I am thrilled and humbled to welcome you to this momentous event. You are the first graduates of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley School of Medicine. Congratulations on your achievement. You will forever be honored as the charter class from our medical school and the first to proudly carry the UTRGV name across the country as you enter residency training. This is an important day not only in your careers, but in recognition of the years of hard work and dedication that the Rio Grande Valley community invested in making this medical school a reality and in bringing you to this very special day. While I was not here to personally welcome you as you entered medical school in 2016, I'm excited to be here with you today. I am sure that when you began classes that summer, 4 years seemed like an eternity to you as you looked ahead to the work that you would do. And now, I'm sure it seems to have flown by in an instant. The experiences that you have had and the lessons that you have learned will prepare you to be outstanding physicians as you embark on your medical careers. And the friends that you have made will provide a lifelong family of colleagues that will sustain you, keep you grounded, and remind you to be humble, modest, and real in all of your relationships and your interactions. You arrived in 2016 as students, and today you leave as physicians. Now, looking back on the last 4 years, I know that there have been some growing pains. You were finding your way as students, and we were doing the same as a new school of medicine. The unique challenges of being part of a school's inaugural class. It has been critical for us to be on this journey together as partners committed to your success. There have been changes in the medical school over those 4 years, hopefully for the better. Your faculty and I have listened to you, and we have heard you. And we have worked diligently to build a medical school that will prepare each of you as outstanding physicians, capable, competent, and compassionate. We have never lost our focus on making the UTRGV School of Medicine an example of the best in medical education. And on March 20th, as I looked down the list of where each of you matched for your residencies, I knew that we had succeeded. All of us should be rightly proud of what we have accomplished together. You, our faculty, our leadership, our community, each and every one of us. Thank you for investing your time in UTRGV. We hope it has been all that you expected. Undoubtedly, this year has been unprecedented in many ways. None of us, even a few short months ago, could have anticipated the terrible effects that the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, would have on our country, our region, and our university. No one would have even thought that our match day activities would be suspended, or that we would be having this inaugural School of Medicine commencement ceremony conducted over a virtual platform. The events that we had planned and anticipated for months and years simply vanished in the face of a deadly, unseen enemy. But there is one clear lesson in this event. No matter how well you plan or practice or prepare, life can and will throw you curveballs. We must therefore all remain flexible to change, yet grounded in our education, our families, and our cultures, so that we can draw on those foundational skills and principles and can succeed in the face of adversity. As you look back on your careers, you will all remember this remarkable year of 2020 and will be stronger physicians and more compassionate caregivers because of what you have experienced. As we are all here on this wonderful day, I want to give special thanks to all members of our Rio Grande Valley community for the work they have done tirelessly to establish this School of Medicine. The first legislation to launch a medical school in the Rio Grande Valley was introduced into the Texas legislature in 1947, 73 years ago. It is fair to say that most of those individuals who foresaw the importance of this school were never able to see it come into reality. Yet countless Valley residents worked over their entire lives to advocate for a school of medicine at the border. With the establishment of the Regional Academic Health Center, or RAC, in the early 2000s, the University of Texas system established an extension campus of its medical school at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio to train students in the Valley. With the success of that program, and with the leadership of the community and its elected officials, in 2013, the Texas legislature passed Senate Bill 24, which created UTRGV and its medical school. In 2015, UTRGV began operations, and in 2016, you entered the UTRGV School of Medicine as its charter class. As is said, the rest is history. Once again, on behalf of all of us here at UTRGV, I want to express our deep thanks and appreciation for all that our community has done to support us. So, class of 2020, here we are today. In the past 4 years, we are all a little bit older, hopefully a bit wiser, and ready to begin the next stage in our lives and our careers. The term commencement refers to a beginning rather than an ending. And it is very true that you are all on the verge of beginning not only your next job, but your life's calling. Remember that it is an honor and a privilege to be a physician. You will be given respect, and patients and families will share the most intimate details of their lives with you. And of course, with great privilege comes great responsibility. Annually, when I address our entering students at their white coat ceremony, I advise them that as physicians, they must do 3 things. They must put the interests of their patients above their own. They must treat each patient with respect and integrity. And they must provide care that is just and equitable. And today I will remind all of you, on this day that you formally become physicians, on that day that you can first be called doctor by your friends, families, community, and most importantly by your patients, that you must always conduct yourselves with honor, with humility, with grace, and with compassion. You have been entrusted by physicians and healers from hundreds of generations before you to carry on their noble legacy. You will earn this respect every day as you bring your best to the care of those vulnerable individuals who come to you for aid and relief. Remember, when you put on that white coat, or wear that stethoscope around your neck, or don your mask, gown, and gloves in the operating or procedure room, that you are part of the greatest and most honorable profession that has ever existed. To that vulnerable patient, you are not only a doctor, you are their doctor. So, class of 2020, today I have the privilege to welcome you as colleagues to the medical profession. Please accept my heartfelt congratulations to you, your families, your friends, and your communities. I am proud of all of you. I wish you the best as you move on to the next phase of your careers, and you will always be vaqueros. Once again, congratulations. It is now my honor to introduce UTRGV's founding president, Dr. Guy Bailey. Dr. Bailey was named the founding president of the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley in May 2014. A proven leader with more than 30 years of experience in higher education, he served as president of the University of Alabama and Texas Tech University, chancellor of the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and provost and executive vice president for academic affairs at the University of Texas, San Antonio. Now it is my pleasure to welcome the founding president of the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, Dr. Guy Bailey.
Thank you, Dean Krause, for those kind words. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be here. This is really a historic first. Think about it. You are our first graduating class. of a new school of medicine. Do you know how unusual that is and how rare that is today? You are truly trailblazers, and we appreciate everything you do for that. It's also historic because we can't have this graduation ceremony face to face. I can't ever remember in more than 40 years of higher education that happening. But these are difficult times, and you're graduating in difficult times. But the good news is you're trailblazers. You started this medical school. It began with you. You blazed the trail, and as we deal with COVID-19, the entire pandemic, as you go out into your profession, you'll blaze a trail there as well. You are the people who can take a leadership role here, and you're not worried about precedent. Hey, you're capable of being the first. And so we're counting on you for doing great things. We know that you will. You're a trailblazer in one other way as well. Everybody who comes after you in this School of Medicine will owe you a debt of gratitude. You helped us put it together. You helped us improve it. Think about how much better we are today than we were when we started. That's largely due to you and your efforts. I can't tell you how much we thank you. I want to congratulate you. This is a wonderful day, a wonderful time for you as you graduate. We think you're well prepared to have a marvelous future and to lead us as we deal with things like this pandemic. Again, congratulations from the entire university. We look forward to seeing you succeed. Now I'd like to introduce somebody. Kevin Eltife is former mayor of Tyler. He's a former state senator who was very powerful, very influential, and a very good legislator. Higher education loved him. It's our honor to have him as chair of our Board of Regents. He's doing a terrific job for us, and it's our honor to have him here today to speak. Mr. Eltife.
Thank you, President Bailey. Graduates, family, faculty, and friends, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this historic event. I know it's not the ceremony you were planning on all these years, but given the meaningful and noble profession you will have selected and worked so hard to achieve, your life's work will always be done in an environment of uncertainty, unpredictability, and new ways to approach situations. And I know that just as you've handled this special day with grace, enthusiasm, and understanding, you'll apply those same qualities as you work to heal, treat, and cure individuals in any part of the world you serve. Maybe one day, when you share this special graduation day story with your children and grandchildren, you can tell them that you couldn't do it in person because there was once a global virus, but thankfully, treatments and vaccines were developed to conquer it. And given the extraordinary education you received at UTRGV, I have no doubt that some of you will be on the front lines of new therapies and discoveries whenever our world is hit with a new set of health challenges. This day is clearly historic, and it marks a milestone of the first graduating class of the UTRGV School of Medicine. Let me add that it is also an emotional day. It's an emotional one not only for everyone participating in this ceremony today, but for your countless individuals who've helped with this. The mothers and fathers, business, civic, government, and education leaders from South Texas who worked for decades to ensure that Rio Grande Valley would have a university and medical school of first class. Almost 7 years ago, I had the great privilege of serving as a state senator from East Texas when Senate and House members from South Texas were successful in getting the legislature to vote to create the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and its medical school. When it was signed by then Governor Perry in June 2013, it went down in history as one of the most heralded, uplifting, bipartisan accomplishments of the legislative session. Even the governor cited it as one of the greatest moments in his governorship. In my opinion, the only thing more rewarding for those who work tirelessly to create the school is this opportunity to witness this incredible outcome. And there are 39 very special reasons to celebrate that today. The Board of Regents and I are proud of each of you. We are profoundly grateful for the sacrifices you and your families have made to get to this day, and we are blessed and reassured to know that Texans will have you at the helm of their healthcare. We need you, we honor you, and we thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce my fellow Regent and friend from Harlingen, and one of those individuals who worked tirelessly to bring this medical school to the Rio Grande Valley, Dr. Nolan Perez.
Thank you, Chairman Eltife, and thank you, President Bailey and Dean Krause, for inviting me to be a part of this historic event. As a regent, a physician, and most importantly, someone who grew up down here in Port Isabel, this is not only an exciting day for me, but frankly, an emotional one too. I waited all my life for a University of Texas medical school in the Rio Grande Valley, and now to be here as a witness to the conferring of degrees upon its first 39 graduates is a gift I shall treasure for the rest of my life. UTRGV and its School of Medicine have forever changed the landscape of education and healthcare in the Valley, and the impact will be felt for generations. As a first graduating class, you are the literal embodiment of a dream come to fruition. For decades, people in the Rio Grande Valley pushed hard for a medical school here. They never gave up. They never settled. They put their full confidence in you. You, the 2020 graduating class, will be remembered as trailblazers, not just because you are first, and not just because your educational milestone is being honored in this new way of communication that will live in perpetuity. You are launching your medical careers in a moment unlike any other. You have already been called to serve. You have willingly raised your hands. You have demonstrated the same commitment and idealism that our ancestors did when they were called to duty for other moments in time in the history of the world. You have an unprecedented opportunity to help shape the way we work and live in the years to come. I hope and believe you will be the leaders at the vanguard of a movement to redefine the delivery of healthcare. Take advantage of the opportunity. We need your innovative thinking. You can lead the way in scaling up telehealth and the virtual care of patients who otherwise have not had access. I believe there will be enormous opportunities in public health and population health management. It will fall on the entire profession, but your generation in particular, to figure out how we can take better care of our fellow Americans and put our energies and resources where they matter most. If there's a silver lining to the health emergency we're living through, I hope it's that we'll finally start shifting from a disease model of healthcare to a wellness model of healthcare. I have every confidence you will make that shift happen. I understand from Dean Krause that your match results were outstanding. I am not surprised. I know many of you will be leaving the Valley to complete your residencies. But I hope that all of you will remember that the Rio Grande Valley is a land of opportunity, and that if you leave, you will look forward to the opportunity to come back. Because take it from me, this is a wonderful place to live, to raise your families, and to practice medicine. This transformation that the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and its School of Medicine have spurred has really just begun. And we would love you to be a part of shaping and completing it. Wherever you go on the next phase of your journey, remember that we are very proud of you. Congratulations, God bless you, and thank you for letting me participate in your wonderful celebration today. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to the man who leads the entire University of Texas system and its 14 institutions, and who spends considerable time here in the Valley demonstrating his unwavering support for UTRGV and for student success. Thank you, Chancellor J.B. Milliken, for offering comments to all of us today.
Thank you, Regent Pettis. Good afternoon. I want to thank President Bailey and Dean Krause for inviting me to be a part of these ceremonies today. I know it's a proud day for them, and I want to congratulate and thank them and their teams for the incredible job they've done getting this inaugural School of Medicine class across the graduation finish line. But my heartiest congratulations, of course, goes to the graduates, the class of 2020. Well done. I'm sure you figured out long ago that there probably isn't another graduation anywhere in America that has been as anticipated as this one. This is a day that not just you and your families and your friends, but the people throughout the Rio Grande Valley and Texas have been dreaming of for years. There are so many people like me who would like to be with you in person today to celebrate, and I hope that we'll get that opportunity in the future. But if this unique event isn't exactly what you imagined, it is in a way a reminder that you are graduating into a world that is changing fast. It's full of opportunity for smart, well-trained, ambitious, and optimistic physicians. Out of crisis, rapid change, and disruption, opportunities and positives always emerge. Healthcare is ripe for new energy, passion, and ideas. Take advantage of this time of change and your preparation for it. The world's been waiting for you, and there's never been a better time to make your mark and to make a difference. I know that's exactly what you'll do. I also know that after years of learning together, you'll be heading in your own directions. I hope you'll stay connected to each other and to UTRGV. You're already an important part of the school's history, and we're counting on you to be lifelong ambassadors. We'll be bragging about your accomplishments for years to come. But for now, enjoy this day. Happy graduation, congratulations, and all the best to you.
Thank you, Chancellor Milliken. I am now deeply honored to introduce the keynote speaker for the School of Medicine's inaugural commencement. When I was considering whom to invite, I could not think of anyone more deserving and more appropriate to deliver the keynote address than Dr. Kenneth Shine. It is well known that Dr. Shine's legacy is deeply rooted in our nation and the state of Texas, but particularly in the Rio Grande Valley. While he served as the Executive Vice Chancellor for Health Affairs at the University of Texas System, Dr. Shine's leadership and his state and local advocacy were instrumental in moving the vision of a Valley Medical School from concept to reality. His enduring work and dedication to this effort will forever be part of the history of the UTRGV School of Medicine. Dr. Shine is also an icon in American medicine, and he has left an indelible mark on many fronts. For 10 years, he served as president of the Institute of Medicine, now the National Academy of Medicine. Under his leadership, the IOM played an important and visible role in addressing key issues in medicine and healthcare. The IOM reports on quality of care and patient safety, including the landmark document published under his leadership, To Err is Human, heightened national awareness of these issues. Dr. Shine was the founding director of the RAND Center for Domestic and International Health Security and led the center's efforts to make health a central component of U.S. foreign policy. A cardiologist and physiologist, Dr. Shine received his MD degree from Harvard Medical School and completed both his residency in internal medicine and fellowship in cardiology at the Massachusetts General Hospital. Before becoming president of the IOM, Dr. Shine was dean and provost for medical sciences at the University of California, Los Angeles School of Medicine. Dr. Shine is a member, fellow, and master of many honorary and academic societies, including Phi Beta Kappa, Alpha Omega Alpha, the American College of Cardiology, the American College of Physicians, and the National Academy of Medicine. He served as chairman of the Council of Deans of the Association of American Medical Colleges and president of the American Heart Association. Without further ado, it is with great enthusiasm and joy that I introduce Dr. Kenneth Shine to deliver the keynote address for the inaugural commencement of the UTRGV School of Medicine.
Thank you, Dean Krause. Congratulations. Congratulations to all the deans and faculty who've helped create this new medical school, created the curriculum, undertook the research, set up the clinical programs, and made it possible for this first class to graduate from this terrific school. Congratulations to the families and significant others of the students who are graduating today. In many cases, the students are the first in their family to graduate from college and from medical school. Often, the family has sacrificed significantly in order that they could get here. They must be extraordinarily proud of their children, their significant others, as they graduate today, and they deserve the heartiest congratulations. You, members of the graduating class, congratulations to each and every one of you. You were the pioneers at this institution, coming at a time when you had to fly a plane that was still being repaired. You had to undertake courses that were still in evolution, provide feedback to the faculty with what worked and what didn't work. And you had to experience all of the problems associated with doing each activity for the first time. True pioneers. And of course, in the middle of your fourth year, suddenly this pandemic falls to our community, and you have to change the way in which you learn. And in many cases, you've contributed in your own way to the attack against this pandemic. Congratulations to the community. South Texas had wanted a medical school for generations, and it was their persistence, particularly of their political leadership, which made it happen. There are some unsung heroes in that regard. One of them is a man named Stephen Collins, whom most of you have never heard of. But Steve is an attorney at the UT of Texas system. And he came up with the idea that endowment income from the University of Texas could be available to schools in South Texas if the legislature approved a new single university with its own medical school. That meant merging the two schools that were here. The chancellor at that time was Francisco Figueroa, and he quickly endorsed that idea and brought it to the regents, who also endorsed it. It's a credit to your political leadership that a near unanimous vote occurred in both the Senate and the House in our state legislature that approved that new university and the medical school. It took courage to undertake that, but the results have been spectacular. Another unsung hero is among you, and that's Dr. Leo Vela. You may not know that in March of 2010, he and I began going around to all the hospitals in South Texas to try to get them to sponsor residency programs. At the time, there were only 35 residency positions in the entire South Texas area associated with the university. And it was clear that no medical school would be approved with so few residencies. With his diligent assistance, we were able to get commitments from hospitals for over 130 residencies. And over a period of time, that number has increased so that we now have close to 200 residency positions in the area. When the movement was made to start the medical school, the objection was raised that there weren't enough residency positions. But with Leo's help, we had solved that problem and we were able to answer the authorities in a meaningful way. So many, many, many people contributed to the event that we're celebrating today, the graduation of the first class from UTRGV here in South Texas. And it's an extraordinary opportunity. COVID has also offered many lessons, and I hope that you will take some of those with you in your career. It happens that I co-chaired an activity all of last year looking at preparedness in this country for major pandemics and other kinds of events. We actually published online on the Journal of the American Medical Association on February 6th, a report indicating how poorly prepared we were. And in spite of that report and all the work we had done last year, the response was minimal in February. We must not let that happen again. We have a history in this country of having episodes, events, gearing up for them with public health responses, and then letting everything slide after the event is gone. I hope that never happens again. And you, as professionals, should make sure it doesn't happen again. As physicians, you also are on the firing line in terms of dealing with the public and making sure that your patients and the public in general understand what's happening in these kinds of pandemics. An important role model for all of you is Dr. Anthony Fauci, who you've, I'm sure, seen on television. Tony, who's a good friend of mine, is a superb scientist and a superb bedside clinician. But most important, he's an articulate individual who speaks truth and understands the necessity to communicate to the public what's going on in public health. We've seen deceit, deception, misdirection, and incompetence, particularly at the federal level. You have a responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I charge you with following up on your COVID experience in the future in order to make that happen. In the few minutes that I have, though, I want to focus on a very specific aspect of your education. You've been educated by the faculty in the medical school. You will be educated in the future by faculty where you do your residencies, by other residents, by nurses, and by many other people. But the most important people to learn from, in my view, are patients. Learning from patients is one of the great opportunities and privileges that you have as a physician. And in order to make that point, I'm going to tell you about 3 patients that I've had interactions with. There were many others, but I want to make a few points from these 3 patients. The first was a 25-year-old school teacher from Connecticut, whom I cared for in my internship at the Massachusetts General Hospital. It was February of my internship year, and she had what was then a fatal disease, Hodgkin's disease. At that time, it was 98% fatal. Today, it's 95 to 98% curable, but not for that woman. She was at the end of the treatment that were likely to work. There was one final treatment that the doctors wanted to use, but it caused nausea and headache and a lot of upset. So they decided that they would administer it to her at bedtime, about 10:30 in the evening. And my responsibility as an intern in February of my internship year was to put an IV in, dim the lights so that she was comfortable in bed, and then inject the medication into her intravenous, having given her a sleeping pill and an anti-nausea agent. And our hope was that she would sleep through the night without a lot of side effects. The second night I went down to give her the medication, I was sitting on the edge of the bed injecting it when she turned to me and she said, "Doctor, am I going to die?" I was shaken by the question. I'd been around patients where that issue had come up, but it was a very intimate situation. She was younger than I was by a year, and the adrenaline release was substantial. I tried to think about what to say. We're doing everything we can. You're going to be okay. What? Somehow I said to her, "Why do you ask?" And she said, "I asked because I teach a group of 12 deaf children in Connecticut." She said, "And I really care for them a great deal. If I'm going to die, I'd like to write each of them a letter, encouraging them to go on with their studies. Do you think it's time for me to write the letters?" "Yes," I said, "it would be a good time to write letters." And over the next 2 weeks, as I gave her medication, she would read to me from the letters that she wrote to these students of hers. And then she died. Throughout my career, many patients have asked me, "Am I going to die?" or something similar. And my response has always been the same: "Why do you ask?" And nobody has said to me, "Because I want to know." What they'll say is, "Well, if I'm going to die, I've got a business that I need to make plans for. If I'm going to die, my wife and I had always thought we would take a cruise. Is it time to take a cruise?" The greatest question I got was from a 55-year-old man, construction worker, who said, "I hit it big in the track," he said, "at the racetrack." He says, "I got 25 grand buried in a tin box outside the garage. If I'm going to die, I better tell the old lady where the money is." The point is, this young woman taught me first not to let the adrenaline rush influence my response, but to be thoughtful and careful in terms of how I responded. And secondly, it was important to know what she was asking. And by finding out what she was asking, I could give her some help. Just to say to her one thing or another about dying would have made no difference. She wanted to know whether she should write those letters. And thank goodness she did. That's the first patient. Second patient, Sam. Sam was a businessman I took care of for 16 years. He had terrible vascular disease. He had 2 bypass operations. He had surgery on his legs. He had all kinds of problems, but we got through it. And he had been a veteran, so he volunteered at the VA hospital and contributed up until a few months before he died. But then he got what we used to call the dwindles. That is, he was clearly having failure to thrive and losing ground. And he came in the office and said, "Doc," he said, "I don't want to die in the hospital." He said, "Can I die at home? Can you take care of me at home?" And I said, "Yeah, I do that." I said, "I'd be happy to do that." And so we agreed to do it. Incidentally, I've taken care of a number of patients at home. And one of the great experiences, if you haven't had it, is to go to see a patient at home where it's the patient's territory. And the patient will invite you into their bedroom and say, "Sit down, doc." And you need to get information from the patient's spouse to find out what's going on. And you become very close to the family. In his case, I took care of him at home for about 4.5 months. And then one Sunday morning, my wife and I were going for lox and bagels at the local delicatessen when the phone rang. And it was the wife saying, "I can't rouse him." I said, "Well, I'll be right over." And I went over and pronounced him dead. Waited for about 20 minutes with his wife, for his son to come. And then I went downstairs and said to Carolyn, "Let's go get some lox and bagels." And Carolyn said, "How can you do that? You took care of this man for 16 years and he suddenly died. How can you just go out and get lox and bagel?" I said, "Well, the most natural thing in the world happened. He died where he wanted to, when he wanted to, in his own home. His wife was under a lot of pressure to take care of him. It was hard for her. She will mourn him, but this will also be a little bit of a relief. And I won't have any trouble eating my lox and bagel." I went home after the breakfast, brunch, and the phone was ringing. It was the patient's son. He said, "Doc," he said, "we're Jewish. We're going to bury Sam tomorrow." It was a Sunday and they were going to bury him on Monday. He says, "and we'd like you to give the eulogy." I said, "Don't you have a rabbi?" "Oh yeah, we've got a rabbi." I said, "But why do you want me to give the eulogy?" And Sam's son said, "Because over the years that you took care of him, he kept saying you knew him better than anybody else in the world. And he said, we want you to give the eulogy." So I agreed. I had no choice. I studied the Psalms and the Old Testament that afternoon. And the next day I went to the funeral parlor, and it was an auditorium. It was a huge place filled with all kinds of Sam's friends. And as the great white gowned rabbi called me up to give the eulogy, and I walked up the aisle, all I could think of was, I wonder if Medicare has a billing code for eulogies. The point is that in your career, you will get to know people better than anyone else, even better than some clergymen. You will be you will know about their secrets. They will come to you with questions and concerns, not only about medicine, but about other things, about relationships in their family, and how they should behave. You should listen very carefully to what they're telling you, because often their health care depends upon how well you know them. For example, if someone's just been laid off from work and lost their health insurance, they're not going to be able to pay for the medication that you so brilliantly prescribed. You've got to be able to make adjustments. I had one patient with angina pectoris, chest pain on exertion, who was the president of a Panamanian country. And he could run that country without chest pain, but he couldn't have a conversation with his son without having chest pain. So it became important for him to take a nitroglycerin before he talked to his son. Those kinds of things you learn from being close to people, and they're meaningful. The third patient is Howard. Howard was 46 years old. He was a brilliant lawyer. He was the best lawyer on copyright issues in Hollywood. I was at UCLA at the time. And he had malignant melanoma, widespread. He asked if he and Judy, his wife, could come over and talk to me to get some advice. I agreed. We sat down, and he said, the problem is that they've run out of treatments here. I had surgery. He said, I've had chemotherapy, cryotherapy, all kinds of other stuff, immunotherapy. He says, they don't have anything else left in Los Angeles, but they do have some treatments at MD Anderson and at Sloan Kettering, and I can't decide where to go. So I'd like your advice as to which one to go to. And I said, well, what do we know about the treatments? He said, well, both have about a 25% response rate. He said, and I'd have to stay there for at least a month, because you got to be there inpatient for a week, and then you got to stay at a local hotel for 3 weeks in the follow-up. I said, well, what does a response rate mean? And he said, well, I don't know. He said, the tumor would be killed, and I might survive. I said, did the doctor tell you that you might survive? And not exactly, but he said it would be a 25% response rate. So I said, well, let's ask him. So I called the oncologist on the phone, put him on the speakerphone so that Howard and Judy could hear. And I said, Greg, I'm here with Howard and Judy, and Howard's trying to decide about these two treatments. I said, what's the response rate? He said, oh, he's got lots of tumors in his lymph nodes in his belly, and he's got metastasis in the brain. A response rate would be a shrinkage of 25% of those tumor masses. I said, oh, so he can't be cured. Oh, no, he's got widespread disease. He can't be cured. I said, well, if he does have a response rate, how much longer will he live? And Howard said, and Greg said, well, probably another month. I said, well, if he doesn't go, how long will he live? He says, I think he maybe live for about 3 months. I said, so what you're telling me is that he's got a 1 in 4 chance of adding 1 month to his 3 months, but he'd have to spend a month of it in New York or in Houston, regardless of his response. Well, that's a pretty rough way to put it, he said. But I said, is it true? And he said, yeah, that sizes it up. I asked if Howard or Judy had any other questions. They didn't. I hung up the phone. And then I was flabbergasted when Howard's first question was, what do you think about people dying at home? And Judy came off the chair in surprise. And I said, what's the problem with dying at home? I take care of a lot of people at home. He said, well, how could Judy sleep in the bed I died in? I said, we don't have to worry about that. When you get very ill, we'll get a hospital bed. You'll die in the hospital bed and we'll take it out. Well, he said, I think I'll stay here. And he decided to get some oral medication. He lived, in fact, for 6 months. And in the 4th month, he and his wife invited my wife and me to a Passover Seder that he presided over. In his case, very intelligent man who didn't understand the situation. We want patients to participate in their care, but they have to understand what that is, what the implications are. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So let me summarize by saying, I've tried to indicate to you with these 3 patients, they all happen to be at the end of life, but as a matter of fact, that's the time when the physician may be more important than anyone else. You're surrounded by technology. You can do echoes at the bedside, find out what the heart looks like and so forth. But don't forget, learning about the patient is about the interactions that you have. When I go into the ICU to see a patient, I take the patient's pulse, even though I can read it on the monitor, because I want to make physical contact with the patient. These are things that you can learn from patients. And regardless of the problems that you see in the terrible epidemic we're seeing now, in the long run, it will be your personal relationships with patients which will make the most difference in your practice, not only to the patients, but also to you. I hope you will benefit from what they have to teach you. Congratulations again. Good luck, and may God be with you as you join our honorable profession. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shine. It is a great privilege and an honor to present the candidates for the Doctor of Medicine degree. These candidates have completed all the academic requirements, have been recommended by the faculty of the School of Medicine, and are entitled to receive their degrees.
Thank you, Dean Krause. It is a great honor for me to announce that by the virtue of the authority vested by law in the Board of Regents of the University of Texas System, I now confer upon each of you the degree for which you have been recommended, with all rights, privileges, responsibilities, and obligations pertaining thereto, and I offer my sincere congratulations. May God bless all of you, and may God continue to bestow a special blessing on the great state of Texas.
Candidates for Doctor of Medicine: Dr. Joy Alvarado, Dr. Anna Archbold, Dr. Amanda Ariola, Dr. Daniel Bajwa, Dr. Joseph Boateng, Dr. Rachel Boren, Dr. Leah Bryan, Dr. Alexandra Bulga, Dr. Cristina Cepeda, Dr. Yeji Choi, Dr. Daniela Concha, Dr. Cleo Desmet, Dr. Zachary Donoville, Dr. Jared Eves, Dr. Danielle Fang, Dr. Gabriel Franklin, Dr. Keith Garrison, Dr. Joseph Garza, Dr. Neri Guerrero, Dr. Caitlin Hall, Dr. Sean Izadi, Dr. Christian Lalonde, Dr. Michael Lapelusa, Dr. Christine Loftus, Dr. Catarina Longoria, Dr. Dylan Lopez, Dr. Julian Mahler, Dr. Rogerio Montes, Dr. Sarva Nera Pudretti, Dr. Shimara Ondoy, Dr. Neera Patel, Dr. Eugene Postivka, Dr. Victoria Ragland, Dr. Rafael Raya, Dr. Ramiro Tovar, Dr. Veronica Trevino, Dr. Ryan Trimble,
Dr. Usma Vader,
Dr. Shane Wing,
I am now happy to introduce Dr. Nasheen Jamal, who will lead the UTRGV School of Medicine Class of 2020 and all physicians viewing this commencement in the recitation of the Physician's Oath. Dr. Jamal is Associate Dean of Graduate Medical Education and a designated institutional official. She is Chief, Division of Otolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery, and Associate Professor of Surgery. Following Dr. Jamal, Dr. Julian Mahler, President of the UTRGV School of Medicine Class of 2020, will address his fellow graduates.
Thank you, Dr. Vela. I am honored to participate in this one-of-a-kind ceremony. I now ask the Class of 2020 and all physicians present to rise and read with me the Hippocratic Oath. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures which are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say, I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humbleness and awareness of my own frailty. Above all, I must not play God. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems if I am to care adequately for the sick. I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body, as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help.
Thank you, Dr. Jamal, for your remarks. On behalf of the inaugural class of 2020, let me express my deep appreciation for the privilege of addressing the ceremony. Today is an honor for all of us because, let's admit it, our community, our institution, our class has overcome so many challenges in the past 4 years. Today, we acknowledge the movers and shakers over the decades who have fought to have a school of medicine here in the Rio Grande Valley. Today, we acknowledge the community who has shared so many personal moments with us. Today, we acknowledge the faculty and staff, both past and present, who have dedicated themselves to improving our educational experience. And today, we acknowledge our class, who has fought every step of the way to make their voices heard to improve the educational experiences of students present and future. We celebrate the success of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley School of Medicine and our academic careers. We stand here today grateful for the efforts of so many who got us here. We as a class have had the opportunity to grow what we have planted. As our roles change from student to physician, we are able to support the mission of the School of Medicine and community in a novel way. Although our time as medical students is over, there are still so many challenges ahead. As much as we have done, there is still so much more for us to do. For all the difficult moments we have faced, for all the rocks we've had to push up the hill that came back down and tumbled on us, the things that have picked us back up every single time has been you. It's been our community. It has been the patient who we see enter the hospital, hanging to life by a thread, but walk out the door. It has been our mentors who pushed us past our breaking points and challenged what we know. It's been our staff who have responded to the 50th email of medical student anxiety, but still show up the next day with snacks and a smile on their face. It's been our family who have been there for us and who still send us invitations to weddings and birthdays, but knowing we can't make it, but just make sure we feel included. It's been our classmate who, with frizzled hair, wearing sweatpants, sleep deprived in the library, who lends us an ear when we feel burnt out. Above all, what's pushed us forward is our hope to accomplish a dream. For students, to become a physician. For our school, to be a national leader in medical education. For our community, to alleviate the burden of healthcare disparities here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's important to acknowledge we could not do this alone. It's every community member who has let us hear their story. It's every physician who's let us rotate through their practice and share what they know with us. It's every healthcare member, every nurse who has made time to guide us through their clinics and show us the ropes. Week in and week out, we have picked each other up, and we have all been in this journey together. As we transition from medical student to physician, it is now our shared responsibility to pick up our communities, to lead our communities as they have led us in the past. We have adapted to work in uncertainty over the past 4 years while creating a new institution. It is with that unique skill set, our graduates, our class can play an instrumental role in these uncertain times, to the communities we will lead, to the programs we will build, and to the patients we will serve. A mentor of mine once told me that MD does not only mean medical degree. MD means make a decision. As a class and as an institution, we may have been at odds at times, but we have always made decisions to move forward. It is critical now, more than ever, that we continue to make choices that help us move forward. To my classmates, wherever your next step is on this journey, keep moving forward. Hold on to the lessons learned here at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley School of Medicine and continue to shape the world around us in a positive way. Thank you all very much. It's my pleasure now to introduce Dean Krause with the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for joining us for our inaugural School of Medicine graduation. We're thrilled that you could be here for this joyous occasion. We wish you all the best.